All right. Welcome. We're back at it again today. If you're watching at this point, it has to be a VOD. There's no possible way anybody's in here yet. So, if you're new to what we're doing, feel free to skip ahead. Take a look at some of the content that's on our YouTube page from the other folks working on the game as well. You'll get to see some concept art and 2D art, 3D character art, 3D environment art, probably some animation work, animation implementation. I don't know, look around, you'll find it. And then if you like it, we've had a number of people ask how they could support the game that we're working on, Monsters and Memories. If you want to support us, just let more people know about the game. That's all we can ask for at the moment. Oh, and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit up our Discord. That sort of stuff. Hey, Merrick. How you doing today? BDC Retro, what's going on? Hey, Nick. Hey, Pattis. Incebalus on your monk messing around on the Yellonak server. That's cool, Mirik. Are you just ramping up for the day, or is it morning for you? Afternoon, I guess, if you're a Euro like me. There was something I was just thinking I need to write a GitHub issue for, and now I've forgotten it because I didn't stop what I was doing and write it down. Uh-oh. A clash of music. Eastern just got up a bit ago. Mirik said they like some EQ with their coffee. Yeah, it makes sense. If you can get an hour or two in before work, the way to do it. Organic cacao. Hello. What's up, Justin? Yeah, summer definitely feels like it's come to an end. I ran out because I've been trying to get out there all week. I ran out to the garden and harvested everything I could pretty quickly. Composted a bunch of... I shucked the corn while I was out there and cut up the corn husks and put that in the composter along with a bunch of other stuff. All the apples that were on the ground. Rotzak. Moin moin. And yeah, right as I was basically trying to get some more raspberries harvested, it started raining on me, and it's supposed to rain for like the next 6 days. So came home and got some food. Oh, what I want to do? I think I'll just hop in real quick, look around for a minute, and then get to doing the little bit that I know that I can do on stream. It's a challenge because I got a lot to do, but most of it's writing. I need to do a lot of writing right now, and writing on stream is probably not going to be the most entertaining thing for you. And even if you... Ooh, somebody dropped something. And even if you did... Bad eye. Even if you did want to sit and watch me write for some whatever weird reason. I guess it's similar to watching somebody code. I don't know that I could do that on stream. Plus, I don't want you to see a lot of that stuff. That's for you to discover later. Actually, let me go back down and let me cast bat form. Justin said, yeah, I saw the pictures. Definitely look like it is syncing with fall. Yeah, we've got some really beautiful red and black corn that we're drying right now. A little bit of wheat that we harvested. Very little bit of wheat that we harvested. Some pumpkins, small Hokkaido pumpkins. And so when you put all of that stuff together, it definitely looks like a fall centerpiece. Oh, what's going on here? Justin's deciding if he should use his food stamps or go to our historic McDonald's or head to Starbucks. That's an interesting set of options. Was I joking about growing tobacco? No, I wasn't. Matter of fact, I can take a picture and post a picture of the tobacco plants in my Discord, and I'll post a new picture if I don't already have something that shows it of the corn and stuff. But I thought, based on what Justin was saying, that you should be able to see it. The problem with the tobacco plants was I put them in the ground too early when they were seedlings. And out of 8 tobacco plants, I have 2 left. And they were the 2 that I didn't plant. Come to find out, slugs really love tobacco plant. And so I've got 2 that I've replanted. They're in some nice little terracotta pots on my windowsill here, and we're going to see if they can make it through the winter. Hey, Big Al. Tobacco plants are weird. The leaves are super sticky, and you can already kind of tell that it's an irritant. It's way crazier than like a tomato plant in terms of stickiness. Because when I was repotting them, I flipped them upside down to like get them out of the old pots to get them into the new pots, and all the dirt like hit the leaves, and I'm still trying to get dirt off the leaves. It's pretty crazy. So live and learn, but I had already read that they can be an irritant, so once I got that stickiness on my skin, I definitely washing hands and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll take a couple pictures. They're going. Hey Belfaster, my barber. So being in Germany, I go down the street to the Turkish barber shop that's here. Those guys are a blast. My barber, before he went on vacation, he's away for like a month in Turkey, gave me a Pakistani pepper plant that was a seedling, and now it's doing really well. It's very pretty. And yeah, so the Pakistani pepper plant is doing pretty well, and I'm hoping that it lives through the winter and can be planted next year. Say that 3 times fast, Nick. I can barely speak non-crazy phrases slowly. Oh, there's a ladder here. I didn't even notice that there was a ladder here. Is there a ladder volume here? We got some big ass ladders. Yep, there is. Perfect. You never thought there'd be a Turkish barbershop in Germany, Justin? I asked this without. This is an actual question, not busting. Yeah. No. So I think 10% of the German population is Turkish. I think that's the last statistic that I read. And so a lot of what are called the donor, DONER shop. It's like I don't know. I know it's called other stuff other places, but I don't know what it's called if it's not called donor. But it's basically, it's like a kebab or whatever, where you slice it's the rotating meat stacks where they slice it and put it into either just kind of like it's almost like a taco looking thing or like a burrito, which is like a Durham donor. And so you'll find them everywhere, especially in bigger cities. And let's see, what else is something that's pretty common here that you may not expect? Yeah, like a gyro or gyro, however, different people, I guess, pronounce it differently. Gyros or gyro or whatever if you're American. Falafel, is that what the bread would be? Anyway, and I've wondered if the Durham donor got its name originally from durum, which is a grain, which can be used to make bread. Oops, interrupted myself. Trying to think, because when I lived in South Carolina, one of our neighbors was from Turkey, Justin said. Oh, Keith told me I need to stop mumbling when I read what you say. I mumble too much when I'm reading your comments, so I need to work on that. Yeah, so the barbershops, you'll find a lot of Turkish-run barbershops, at least in the cities I've lived in here, and it's pretty cool because like a lot of the dudes that I see around, younger guys and stuff, really like to like keep their beards in nice shape and fresh haircuts and always looking pretty good. So definitely a place to go. But yeah. Whenever I go there, every time I go to the barbershop or like to make an appointment or just to like go in and you know, get my hair done, or if I'm walking by to go buy one of the kiosks to buy something like a beer or something, and I see the guys, they're always like, "Hey, Texas!" So they just call me Texas because at one point they asked me where I was from in the US, and I said the last place I lived was Texas, and so from that point forward I became Texas. Big Al said, been a while since I've seen the game. Looks like we got flying now. Yeah, we've had flying for a little bit as a like a GM command. This isn't player flying. So this is me cheating and making it look kind of like an interesting player ability by casting bat form on myself and also using GM fly, which basically it's a little bit of a cheat. Yeah, so not quite sure why I was flying around. I was just kind of flying around to see, because I've missed the recent streams. Jasmine had some friends over yesterday for her birthday, so as of like yesterday afternoon, I was kind of out of the loop. Actually, most of the day I was out of the loop. I spent most of the day just getting the house ready and stuff. It's also good news if we need to pivot from classic MMO to Bat Simulator. That is a fair point. I really wish there was a great way to include something this cool without completely breaking everything. Oh, thanks, Belfaster. The newer stuff is on the northern cliffs area. Okay. Illusion Goat. Illusion Goat will eventually come. You can take that chick to the bank. Illusion Goat. And it would be really great, Nick, if Illusion Goat allowed you to become a pack animal. So you can help the group out. Can carry all the treasures back to town. Goat mount confirmed. A goat is not a bad mount, so don't you think that we're Everyone roll to 100. Lois is the pack animal for this run. Oh my gosh. See, the emergent gameplay is already there. So Pat, it's this area that you're referring to, yeah? Good little cubby. Ooh. I like that. I like this. I like the flow of this already. And this, I think it's the rain's probably hitting my frame rate a little bit before we get it optimized. I'm not shocked. And by it, I mean everything. Oh, that's a good question. BDC Retro asked Pattis. I may have missed it. Did you ever find out what was wrong with your PC? After all the PC drama. Been trying to get a nice flow with a bit of elevation. Variety, yeah. It's funny, I didn't. My brain registered the change in elevation and... Oh man. Is this for gnomes? Or dwarves? Is corrupted Windows files and your water cooler pump was dying. You've got a water cooled PC. I'd say that because I tend to be so janky. Every few years I'll buy like a really decent PC and then within a year it's no longer decent. But then I'll run that PC for 5 years. Big Al said, "Yo, I just got my Steam Deck." I was thinking Stream Deck because I have a Stream Deck right in front of me. Valve is killing it. If I used my Switch more, I would definitely see how that would be tempting. Yeah, there is some nice elevation here, dude. I was saying I noticed it when I went through that one tunnel. So. Pettis said, "Yep, and that new building / ramp is for small races." Cool. Yeah, so I think this is the one here. Cool, and then, yeah, I was about to say, then right, I'm assuming, yeah, right over here is where we get to the Concourse of Souls area, the Necropolis. Hey, Isan. Big Al said the Steam Deck may help to usher in the era of the Linux desktop. Interesting. Hey, Dargath. So yeah, this area is gonna be fun. Let me double check something because a question came up. Somebody was looking for Shadow Knight Guildmaster. Yeah, alright. So here's Shadow Knight Spell Merchant. Yeah, everything folks need should be here. Thought so. Just getting the top layer of the city done is going to be so crazy. It's so big. We'll learn something at the end of this process, and definitely got our work cut out for us in terms of writing and stuff. But on the flip side, we've also got so much interesting space in here to fill. So it's going to be fun. Speaking of, I'll probably add some of the new rogue-related NPCs in a minute. Get them in. Ooh, that's a nice... Let me get rid of this light pollution here. Oh, I like it. See how the light's bouncing off the underside of that minaret? Popping up there? I know a lot of you on the stream are like, really? That's what you're focusing on and making a game? Don't you have better stuff to do? Yeah, I do, but I think these moments add up to making a really nice experience. And the game is not just gameplay, and it's not just... You know how there's always... It seems like the industry fixates on graphics too much. I definitely get that. We're not neglecting gameplay, but we want the whole package to come together, right? But yeah, I love... So this was unexpected. Hashtag immersion. Nick's gonna get us trending on Twitter. Yeah, so this was unexpected actually with this geometry. I didn't think about that one damn bit when we were talking about minarets and stuff. I did not even consider the fact that the rounded tops have an underside, which then allows for that light to bounce up and illuminate them in this nice way. You know what I mean? And some of you may be like, oh man, that's silly. That's a silly thing to think about. But honestly, we want you to come in here and just have all of these little moments where you're new and looking around the world and like, and whether it registers overtly or not, you're just like, oh shit, that's really pretty, or wow, that's really cool. Or you just kind of lose yourself in the game, right? So that's the goal. And I don't know how much it gets discussed in various... and it's probably a hard thing to kind of articulate cleanly in the videos that game companies tend to do. Because working at game companies, usually what you do is you do like a behind the scenes video, or you'll do like a hour long, or maybe you'll do a couple in a month, I don't know. But you'll do these videos that are mainly sort of like a one directional kind of like, this is what we were thinking when we did blah, blah, blah. But the more I watch like podcasts and stuff over the years, and I think this is something, a recurring theme on like Rogan's podcast when he's talking about it, it's the same way that it's hard to articulate certain thoughts or get to know somebody in like a 7-minute or a 5-minute or a 30-second news clip where somebody asks a question, they answer or whatever, or they have a message. But the 3-hour long format discussions give you so much little insight, or weird shit comes up or questions are asked where something's articulated that it just would have never come up in any other format. I think that's been one of the huge benefits of streaming. And then it's really cool that Keith's gone in and tried to find some of those things and snip it out. But at the end of the day, it's just... The hope is that, people find value in being able to pop into a stream every once in a while. And or for those of you that are really consistent and regular, first of all, bless your hearts. That's super nice of you. But I think... And this isn't meant as like a weird humble brag or promotion of what we're doing or whatever, but I think it's just it's a unique opportunity to kind of see the thought process behind development and see some of the things that are supernatural to any development process. Like streaming or not, I would have went by, saw that illumination on the minaret and be like, been like, oh shit, this actually makes a lot of sense for us. So let's really think about that when we're placing minarets and like the wind towers and other stuff throughout the city, and when we're doing the lighting, right? So art reminds you of Majdoul from EQ2, the Desert Plains expansion city. Yeah, there are a number, and hopefully we remind you of a number of like D&D cities and others, you know, like as well. So what, like Kalimport or whatever, and yeah. Kilodron, thank you for the follow. Tapport, hello. The Game Terrorist. Uh-oh. Thank you for the follow, I think. Tapper said, first time on stream, could you give a quick elevator pitch on what you're doing for here? The city looks amazing. Today specifically, or the game itself? Information about the game, I will be happy to ramble about, but I can also send you to our website and to our Discord, and then we can talk. Big Al said sick water shader. Yeah, and so when John got on the team, John's the creator of an indie game called Salt and is about to release Salt 2, but you can already find it on Steam. So when John got on the team, because he's been making games that are very ocean focused, he brought this shader with him. We liked it, and it's got a lot that we can tweak about it and sort of use in different areas and get different looks out of. And so we went ahead and got a license for it. It's one of the few sort of assets that we bought. Yeah, you can wishlist it now. Salt 2. Go check it out. It looks really cool. Nick, if you get a chance to link it, that would be cool. I linked it in our Discord as well. Elevator pitch for the game, but you'll check the site out right now, Tappert said. Yeah, so the game that we're working on is Monsters and Memories. It's an old school MMORPG. It's really rooted in a lot of the gameplay and design decisions that we enjoy from classic era MMOs. So we're talking about our EverQuest 1, Dark Age of Camelot, Ultima Online, Asheron's Call, things like that. And so there are a number of things that when we were sitting around on stream talking about EverQuest, because I used to work on the EverQuest team and interviewing people from the team, etc., we started talking about some of the design decisions and sort of elements that were either, I don't know, I don't want to say dumbed down, that because it sounds too negative, but design decisions that change the feel of the games to make them a bit more accessible, and then over time a lot more accessible. You know, essentially that transition from EQ to WoW. Yeah, so I'm not doing a very good job of this is a very long elevator ride. It's this is my Friday, and I'm I'm still getting in my groove, so I'll have to make a more concise elevator pitch maybe later in the stream when I'm more awake, I guess. But anyway, so this is very much just a modern indie take on classic MMORPGs from the early 2000s, late 99 era. So everything from pace of gameplay, pace of progression, quality of life features that we've kind of yanked out in order to regain a bit of that social friction and immersion, all of that stuff. You that's what we're shooting for. As you just mentioned, on our website, we mentioned the comparison to painted book covers. And so we want to take the old school kind of blockier art style that's got a shape language that's a little bit more stylized, but still rooted in reality, like fantastic realism is what we've been calling it, and then hit that with some nice modern textures and modern lighting. And see if we can push it a little bit further towards an aesthetic that maybe they weren't capable of doing in the early 2000s, late 99 era, but might have had on their minds when they were first, when they're actually doing the art and implementing stuff. Plus, we just think a bit of stylization ages better. The entire team is hitting all the right notes, art, design, music, everything, Dargeth said. Well, thank you. BDC Retro said Goblin's really dialed in the last few months. The art just keeps getting better. Yeah, when you go to the website, be sure to look at the update section. And we're going to be redoing the website soon, but look at it and see some of these illustrations. They nail it. It's really, 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 really pretty. And it's been translating into 3D very well for us. At no point have we hit a point where we're like, oh man, all right, we thought this was the direction to go, but it's not working. Is it planned to stay first person? Is that going to change in the future? I just happen to be in first person. It's both. I wish there was less of a delay. Let's see. What else? Just Dargeth said, I love that Reddit comment. Is that an actual Reddit comment or did someone comment about Reddit? Anyway, let me go over here. Hang out by this guy. Though aggro's turned off, so I should be fine. Then we'll come here. And we'll go into scene. Doaili, thank you for the follow. The game terrorist followed a little bit ago, thus letting us know that they're here, but they haven't said anything, which has got me nervous. The last thing you want is a quiet terrorist. All right, so zone panel. Enable. Big Al asked, is this in POC phase, proof of concept, or do you consider this more an actual production? This is all working towards building the proof of concept, but we're building the proof of concept in a way where ideally we incorporate all of the work that we've done in proof of concept, which we'll iterate on and we'll probably change as we learn things or whatever. But we're building it as if it is going to be final. And then we change it as we go. So in theory, we could go from proof of concept to just continuing to expand out the game, build more and more, because the goal for the proof of concept or vertical slice or whatever you want to call it is to have all of our systems functioning, which if you go to our website and check out the FAQ page, there's a link to a breakdown. We call it a roadmap, but it's really more of just sort of a feature breakdown, a deconstruction of the game. And so you can go there and see all of the systems and other elements that we want to get online. And so what we want to do is get all of the core systems and tools and elements that we need for gameplay online and working, and then that's our proof of concept. And then from there, we want to take what we now have been playing in. Zarkane, sorry, I talked over you. Zarkane said, always happy to see more from you, Sean. Thank you very much. Thank you for 3 months. And so the goal is to basically get to a point where we're making more of what we know works instead of spending a lot of time sort of, what's the best way to say it? We're doing this development cycle in a very open manner so that you get to see everything that we're working on. You give us feedback as we're iterating through stuff, etc. Instead of going away for 6 months or a year or 3 years and working on a bunch of stuff and then showing it to you and then having you go, well, why didn't you do it this other way? And we go, oh shit, that's a great idea. And so the proof of concept is really about hammering through all of that. And then when we feel like it's tight, then we'll scale it. So, cool. What I'm going to do now is go back in here. I'm going to get in the database. Gonna probably open another database window. I'll have you know that this green donate button, I have donated. I swear I'm not a cheapskate, but apparently I've got to email the creator, Heidi's creator, and he'll give me a code so that I can get rid of that donate button. I don't know why I needed to tell you that, but I did. How long have we actively been working on Eminem so far? We consider this our 2nd year of production, with the first year being a much smaller team. It was about 4 of us the first year, getting things up and running. During that period, we didn't have artists on the team, so we contracted art externally. And I did a bunch of just kind of cobbling stuff together in Blender, and Ollie made some buildings and other stuff as well. So it was just kind of us doing designer/programmer art the first year, and Ollie was doing all the coding. And then September of 2021, we put out word for additional team members, and that's when we added 2 more programmers. 2, and then pretty quickly thereafter 3 artists, and that's when Goblin and Zukin and Pattis joined the team. And then yeah, so now the team's at 12 people, including me, and that all of that growth, like the additional 8 people, was over the course of this last year. And this last year is where we've really started working more on kind of production ready zones, primarily focused on getting Night Harbor built out, and Wormsbane, Tomb of the Last Wormsbane here built out. And then we've got several other zones that are placeholder. So it's interesting, this additional space up here. I'll have to get with you, Pattis, and if Hamad's available at some point. But either way, get in here and we can talk about distribution of some of the content. Because I like the additional area and detail, but I think it will require us or allow us to move some stuff around, because right now we've got a lot jammed in here in terms of the market district. But okay, so let's find our NPCs over here. Night Harbor. And let me just go into our documentation and find the That's not what I'm looking for. That's also not what I'm looking for. I've got so much crap open right now. Okay, good. I'm glad that was not open to the main screen. I was worried about that. Is the intention within the city, at least in most places, to allow you to walk around at night without a light source? So the intention is to create an atmosphere where, yeah, it varies. And so like in the main area here, it'll be well illuminated, or in this, like if we're in this market, there'll be plenty of lamps, which we even have a guild that is in charge of going around and lighting the lamps. Their name is the Lamplighting Guild. They're the Lamplighters, the city illuminators. And so they go around and get all the lamps lit at night. Now, the goal is to have the market come alive at night. But then what we may do is some of these other areas, like here, we may reduce the lighting a bit. So as you get off the main, kind of the main thoroughfare, it gets a little bit darker and seedier, right? And so illumination may just be coming from within some of the buildings. You may need your own illumination. There may just be one lamp here or there that's around, right? Because some of these areas may have encounters as well. To the question of what are the floating numbers, Artificial Guide asked. So if I'm on this screen, I'm running around in game, right? So I'm in game here. When I'm over on the scene, I'm in the editor. And if you look at the numbers, everywhere that there's a number, there's either one of these little spawn indicators, right? And it's basically a little ball with like a nose to let us know which way the NPC is going to be facing. Now you can see, because the game's running at the moment, that there's an NPC in there, right? You can see him idling. Let me zoom in. Oh, hey there. Right. So basically every one of these numbers is where something spawns. And then some of the numbers, like this one, is it's a big box. It's a volume, and it's essentially it sets the boundaries of where NPCs or mobs can randomly spawn. And so this one here is then linked to a spawn group, what back in the day we used to call an encounter table, which was derived from like pen and paper, like roll the dice and see, oh, it's a 7, oh, it's a bugbear, right? That kind of thing. And so it's essentially that. And if you look on my screen, I really need to set my stream up to work as cool as Zukin. Zukin has the ability, like he's broken his screen into quadrants so he can zoom in. And I saw that and I was really jealous of how cool that looked. So I've got to get that set up. I don't know if he's just using a plugin or if he set that up within his scene in Streamlabs or what. But that may be handy. But anyways, for now, just look at the right-hand side where my cursor is. And so what this is saying is at number 1, which is spawn point 1, this volume, and it's defined as a volume here. It's a box instead of a sphere or a point. The rest of these little ones are points. Spawn 15 mobs from this day spawn group, newbie or noob desert. And if it's during the day, if it's at night, spawn 15 from the noob desert night encounter table. And yeah, and then there's just a basic command on this spawn point. When they spawn, they're given a wander in volume command. So they just wander around within the volume. There's a pause chance. There's a pause duration. And there's a pause variant. Zuking can even summon Sean to his streams. It's very future tech. Yeah, it's. I'm glad to be of assistance in that situation. And so other spawn points may have more complex commands set up. And by complex, I don't mean complicated. I just mean there's more stuff going on. So if we look here at spawn 141, it's a Night Harbor Watchman. They spawn, and their first command is pause for 30 seconds. Then they go to this next point, this go to here, which is command, essentially index 1. So it's the second command. They pause again. They go to another one. They pause, right? And so this is basically just moving this NPC around here and pausing and sort of observing. So it's a pretty simple system, but over time it allows us to do some interesting things without being super over complicated or having to script every NPC or whatever. So, Tapper asks how they come up with that guild name. That's what they decided to call themselves. Crazy fantasy characters that they are. Let's see. Did I miss anything super important here? Nick was giving me some info on how to reduce the reduce the delay between. Let me check and see, because you're right. I might have done something back when I was having internet issues like 2 years ago. Let me see if I've actually got that going on. Is there a way to go to my settings without screwing up chat? Hey, what's up, Chad? Look here. Stream. New tab. Rolling, scrolling. Oh, yeah, it is set to low latency. So, that's what I thought. It is set to low latency, so I guess that's as good as it gets. Mr. Gun, howdy. So I had a lot of fun on the last stream with basically we were just talking about we were looking at Asmongold did a react video to Lazy Peon's video on MMOs, and we watched that, and I guess we reacted to the react. So, but it wound up being a really fun time. Goblin said in Slack, I was fighting a rat. He started to run at low health, then came back for another bite, and then ran again, then fought until the death. Will anything break if you bounce the server really quick? No, but what I can do is I should probably, I think, step out of here. So I'll close the zone panel. So let me just close this, which will hide the numbers that Mr. Gunn was asking about. And then, yeah, I'll just hop out for a second while you do that. And then while you're bouncing the server, I will hop in a database and prep these NPCs to be added. So yeah, and while that's going on, I will hit play on this again. We'll listen to some RuneScape music. Is this client server based? Mr. Gun, it is. Let's see. It is not only client server based, but it operates at scale pretty well. Let's see. I'll show you a quick video in case you missed it the other day. Goblin said, I'm working on a new 3P illustration. That's what we call these. I always mix the words up because I do that with every sort of quote or anything, but place, party, and peril illustrations, like these inspiration pieces that we get from Goblin. And so essentially place is this layer. Party, right here, you see them. Peril, she's standing there, reading them. So Goblin's question is, I want 3 or 4 for the party. What race and class combos should go in there? Belfaster says Ogre Monk for sure. What do you guys think? Please discuss amongst yourselves while I find this video to show Mystigun something. Wow. Nope, not that cute video of this wonderful corgi that Keith has. Not the Ren Fair video. Not pictures of my dog. Here we go. So this was a spontaneous test that happened on stream last week, where Ollie and the guys were looking to debug some performance issues. Well, not performance issues. Basically looking to monitor and improve performance. Maybe it's a better way to say it. Deep Gnome Enchanter, Nick says. Belfaster says, some version of the Holy Trinity plus Ogre Monk. Fex says, Troll Shaman. Hey, Fex. I'm not on Instagram very much anymore, so I haven't seen you around in a bit. Watching that video, bards are like, this reminds me a few months ago when I was watching Level Up Larry, kiting around Dreadlands. It wasn't quite this bad though. Man, just look how glittery all the names are. There's so many NPCs in here. I don't think you guys realize it. Whatever Nick did, it was like basically a zone-wide aggro, and just everything came out of the woodworks. Every NPC. Oops, I was trying to click that. Let me know when the server's back up, Nick. Beck said me either buddy taking a break from social media. That is a wise move. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Bard's forming again. Trays, yeah. It's up now? Okay. Thanks, Nick. Let's go ahead and go over to spawn group. We'll just plop these in here real quick. It's not it's nothing too fancy. I just needed to have a list of the names so I don't forget who I'm popping in here. Let's go back over to this faction. So let's find Sin. And we'll come here. Oops. We'll insert. We'll do this. We'll do this. And we'll do this. And we're good to go. What else do we need? We need Galania. Do this. Do this. Whoops. Do that. So basically, they're very straightforward tables because it's just a table with one NPC on it. But we still have to make them, right? And they are going to spawn 100% of the time for the time being. So, here in the gray, insert. Oh, who else do we need? We got those 3 already. Whispering Wallace. And let's see. Who else are we meeting? Missing. Dumpy. Dumpy the Whistler. The ever ominous and dangerous Irfan. Irfan Raz. We'll spawn 100% of the time. And last but not least, Albrecht. The setup for these guys, their background, their lore, a lot of fun. I can't wait to work on some quests and stuff for this guild. All right, so troll, male, deep gnome, male, ogre, female. Nick said with regards to the sex for the party for the next illustration. Bellpaster said, looking forward to the giant. Will the giant in this illustration be the first version we might see in game? Goblin said, I think so, yes. I think that's fair. Mr. Gun said, I've begun to make an ARPG like Diablo at the moment. I'm now ready, but I need to learn multiplayer techniques. What's the easiest way to play with friends in a party? Is it client server based? No, I would assume peer-to-peer might be easiest, but I'm not the tech guy. If you have questions, you can either pop into the Eminem main Discord, or it's a little bit quieter and maybe easier to get a question in if you go to the Loving Robot Discord. Ollie, our wonderful tech genius, is often in there answering questions and providing advice. He loves sharing information and helping people with stuff. And that's his background. Very, very much a game jam, community focused, emulator dude. Bellfaster said the first interaction with giants in EQ was a special moment. Pretty sure a bit of poop came out between the size, the sound, the dying. Quite the experience. I heard the giant in EverQuest before I saw it, and I was blown away. I was just like, I thought it was so amazing. So yeah, if we can somehow get that level of like, wow, that's fun. It's going to be tough for those of you that have been, you know, you're veterans of seeing giants and giant dragons and freaking titans and all sorts of stuff like that at this point in your careers. So it's going to be hard to impress you, I'm sure. But I think if we get the feeling of weight right and just the overall experience to to a point where it just is solid, then hopefully, even if you're not, it's not your first time, there, Madonna, at least it will seem like you're being touched by a giant for the very first time. I don't really remember that level of size difference in other games before that, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah, before that, probably not. But now that it's been there, Stack the Pile, that is the website. Check out the FAQ and the updates. The updates are actually underrated. If you check out the updates, you'll get a ton of just background information. Hey. Madonna's lesser known hit, Touched by a Giant. Have you seen the trailer for the Weird Al Yankovic movie that's coming out? That looks amazing. Amazing. Let me turn off the RuneScape music. Justin said, I used to joke around with a friend of mine that we were going to write a Bigfoot sitcom. I guess we could change it to giants. I think there's room for either one. Harry and the Hendersons was the Bigfoot sitcom, right? But it's been a while, so... You can never take Bigfoot seriously after Harry and the Hendersons movie. I think that's a good thing. I think that... Oh, was it a movie? I thought it was a TV show for some reason. Anyways, I think that's a good thing. It promotes maybe better treatment of Bigfoots everywhere. Trying to think of his name. Famous actor. He was on Third Rock from the Sun. That is John Lithgow. Also played a really good serial killer in Dexter. Yeah. Also played a really good villain in oh man. Am I actually conflating it? Was he the villain on Howard the Duck, or was he the villain in Buckaroo Banzai? John Lithgow's a treasure? Yes. Also the villain in Raising Cain. I'd have to... I know that I've seen that, but I can't place what it was. Belfester said, I've stayed in the home of Bigfoot a few times. It's Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Great place to go camping and or glamping. Oh, interesting. I'd be terrified of Bigfoot. Howard the Duck was Jeffrey Brown as the villain, the Dark Overlord of the Galaxy. I'm gonna have to look that up and so I can picture him. Howard the Duck, which was a rad movie. I mean, you know, the whole bestiality thing aside. Dark Overlord of the Galaxy. Holy, whoa, that's terrifying. That is... Oh! Okay. Nice. Stack the pile. And... Why? Why? I'm probably screwing it up. Why? Head Olgo. Thank you for follows. This dude is awesome. He is great in Beetlejuice as well. What is up? Help me not mess your name up. Is anybody on the team willing to let me pick their brains on the database architecture? Absolutely. We're not doing any trade secret stuff. The only thing that we're really keeping secret is we may keep some security stuff secret later. May or may not. If we don't keep it secret, then that may help you break our security, which may just make our security better, faster. So, Moai had Olgo. Okay, Moai. Perfect. I got it now. Thank you. That is the best way to do it for me. So Big Al, if you hit up the Discords, as I mentioned, here's our main Discord for the game, and you can also just hop into my stream Discord, and we talk that kind of shit in there as well. So, is this currently the only zone in game? Artificial guy, no. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think 10 blocked out placeholder zones. This zone that you're looking at over here to the west. You're looking at all sorts of weird stuff because I'm in scene view. And from here you can't actually see it. So either way, well, maybe you can see. Maybe. Okay, you can see it over there. It's the mountains over there. That is actually the first zone we were working in for the first year. And so we've got to tweak some stuff and clean some stuff up or whatever. And we got to clean up the transition from that zone into this zone, because this big ass city is replacing a small block out city that I built, starting in the early days of 2020. So that transition will be cleaned up. And as we level up, you'll probably see us going back and forth into that a fair bit more. As we continue to work through the city, at some point we're going to also clean up this newbie yard over here that goes to the north, so that functions similar to this one, but has a slight difference in population, so that we can do some different thematic stuff and not have it just be the same stuff in both areas. That will then transition into like a more farm and mining themed zone that we've got blocked out, that runs along the river here going to the north. And we're just gonna work our way up like that. So, yeah. So we've got a number of zones. We've got an underground zone that's one of our first deep zones, which is, essentially part of our underworld. We've got a dungeon in here that we play in sometimes. We've got another placeholder dungeon that we used to play in sometimes. So yeah, we've got more than just this, but this is currently the focus for Pattis in doing the environment. Because most of the team's working part-time, and so when he's got time, he's coming in here because it's a pretty big, pretty detailed city. But our goal is to figure out just how big and how detailed we want to go with our cities, because our goal is to make the cities stay relevant for the life of the game. So there's contents and all sorts of other encounters and things in here. How does loading zones work roughly? Is a Unity scene per zone, or are they loaded in dynamically? It's a Unity scene per zone, and we have zone lines. So we like zone lines as a gameplay mechanism. Plus it feels kind of retro. So you'll actually, when you run down here, you hit a zone line, and let me cheat real quick and I'll show you. We like trains, yes. And we've actually had to use them. We've had to use them while playtesting, right? Like I got in some trouble over here and zoned into Shaded Dunes. I think I've had to zone into the dungeon at least once to keep from dying. So hit his zone line. It's loading. It's loading slower than it needs to, but it's loading. And we're in a new scene. Now the technical details of what's going on with that, etc., is that's something more for the tech guys. Nope, I'm not going to go around to the front. She is naked. So when you see parts of a zone from within another zone, is that not the actual zone, but some background scenery? Yeah, so those are facades. Now, if there's some way, you know, when we get to the point to be able to screw around with stuff, if there's some way to be able to show the scene across zone lines for a certain amount, you know, like a certain distance or whatever, that might be cool, especially with all the stuff that we're doing with lighting, etc. But, yeah, for now, they're just facades that we use. And we'll do more trickery in the background to make the world seem as contiguous as it kind of is, but isn't, because we are breaking it up into scenes. So, but the goal is to really make the world feel big and open and contiguous while still supporting zone lines. So like if I go out of the city on the northern side, you know, I can see for a ways, but the features aren't as big down there. Now, if I'm in the glass flats, which is 2 zones away, and turn around, I can actually see the, you know, the dome and everything, the parts of the city skyline from within a zone through another zone into this second zone, essentially, right? But that's just because they're facades. And I'm way over here. So let me go back in here. Let me load up the data set. And let me plop these guys in. The Ashira are not nice. No, they're not nice to everybody. Big House said, I love how you guys chose new yet similar fonts to EQ. Did they insult somebody? I think... No, they were insulted by the appearance of undead. Big Al, it's strictly a coincidence. I forget what font this is, but it's like Arial or something. It's very default. Grind Hard. Yeah, this is our game. And this is our website. Yeah, it was just the default. I could have sworn it was just the default font in here, and it just happens to look rad. So let's see. Oh yeah, okay, 162. Oh, sunrise. Love sunrise. Thank you, Big Al. Cool. So what we're going to do is we'll come in here. I'm just going to give them kind of a placeholder location for now, because the building that these guys are ultimately going to be in is kind of a special building. So I think I'll put them over here for now. This is 2-story, because we're going to move some of this stuff around, I think. Oh, wait. Okay. Here. Maybe I'll put them here. Unless, Pattis, you're still around. If you're still around and you've already talked to Hamad about a location for the rogues, then just let me know. I'm saving this building because it's a rad building, and I've got to go back through and talk to Ham and Pattis and see if it's already being assigned. But I kind of want to have a... I've been thinking about a new NPC and little faction that's kind of got some D&D Pasha Pook kind of vibes. So for now, though, though it may, you know what? I'll place him in here for now. Otherwise, me see. Hey, Nicodemus, enjoy your coffee. Actually, I'll put them here for now. Then we're going to move some of this stuff around. We've got to have a little discussion on that. Goblin said, small update. I need 1 tank. Which race and class? Got to be a small race, though. So which small race class combo would you like to see in the next illustration? Darga said dwarf fighter. Male. All right. There we go. Moai asked, how is Eminem funded? Is it people working in their free time? Investors? It is people working in their free time and then expenses that we've had over the last 2 years, which only amount to probably just over 20,000 have come out of pocket. So 162, create a click. We'll put it right here for now. Wow, that's dedication. Absolutely. The team has, the team's been outstanding. Like, there's, I'm not articulate enough to be able to explain how badass everybody's been. So if you want to get to be more familiar with the team, hop into our Discord. The team is very active there, plus members of the team stream, and so you can get to meet them through that as well. And yeah, if you want to know more about the team, like backgrounds and things, we've got a couple new members that we've got to get profiles up on. Did I get Keith's added? I know he sent me information. I have to check the website, but there's a team page. Yo, let me pay you to work on this. How many digits? Let's start with the digits conversation. Give me your digits, Big Al. Oh wait, why am I... Am I being attacked by something? I am being attacked by something. Okay, Keith's on there. Good. Alright, I'd feel bad if I didn't get that updated. Is he actually hitting me? Oh, I'm typing in the wrong box. It's fine. I don't need this box open at the moment anyway. Get this out of the way. I think I'm invulnerable. Okay, now I am, so. Interesting that that does not persist through zoning. I'm gonna go, oh, let's see. Attention deficits, responding to Belfaster. Belfaster asks, realistically, how much do you think it would cost to finish the first version of the game? If you don't expand the team a crazy amount, but also wanted to be able to move them to full-time if needed, is that some pie-in-the-sky number or a realistic goal? It's a fairly realistic goal depending on how we go about achieving it. If we move into more of a, and all of this is once the proof of concept's at a point where we feel comfortable either approaching investors or the community or whomever for cash. Once we're at the point that we're talking cash, we're either going to find ourselves in a situation where we're working with individual or group that allows us to basically just sort of go all in. And bring everybody on board that wants to be on board. I mean, some of the folks that are working on this are spending a fair amount of time doing this, but they also have got jobs that they wouldn't necessarily want to leave. You know, they're a senior person at a bigger company or whatever, which we do have. Or so we're either going to be in a situation where we go more all in, or probably more likely we hit a point where we're comfortable taking money from the community in exchange for the ability to play a subset of the game or something of that nature. Then we'd basically do a sort of phased rollout of bringing people on board based off of how that's looking in terms of cash coming in. I mean, without getting too detailed, I would say that we'd be in a good position if we could cover between 70 and 100,000-ish a month in operating expenses, which sounds pretty crazy, but it's really not that bad. So I think that would wind up being either the thing that we're building up to. So it'd be a subset of that for a certain amount of time, and then as it grows, we basically add to the operating expenses, go by bringing more people on full time. And in terms of like, what do we need to finish the first version of the game? That's really going to come down to, as we continue to build out Night Harbor and play more between like Night Harbor and Shaded Dunes and the other zones, and kind of get a feel for where we want to draw the line on scope, or where we need to draw the line on scope for proof of concept. Then that may be something that we're able to complete without, basically in the mode that we've been moving, or the mode that we've been operating in so far. The growth of that beyond that would be a much bigger target. And so I think what we'd wind up doing, instead of trying to grow the team dramatically, and in order to expedite the development process significantly, is work with an outsource partner. And so we've been in communication with folks in the past and gotten an idea of what that would take. And so then it really comes down to, do we find an arrangement where we're, again, getting cash from one source and paying that outsource partner? Are we making a rev share deal with the outsource partner? So that type of thing. Yeah, sorry, I'm fumbling on that one because I'm trying to find the best way to word some of it, and I think there's some potential booby traps in this discussion where I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression about our intent, and I don't necessarily want to speak fully out of turn with regards to some of the numbers and stuff. So, and I'm speaking off of projections that I don't have in front of me at the moment, but yeah. So as we continue to go forward with this, it'll really become a discussion of, we've had some discussions, with a couple potential publishers in the past, but it didn't seem like it made sense either of the kind of setups that they were thinking just didn't make sense to us. We really like our autonomy, and then got the feeling we'll be able to discuss things even more in the future. That's just, so I'm talking a lot, not necessarily saying very much, so apologies for that. Isan, you may be gone already, but if you're not, have a great one. Hope you have a great weekend as well. BDC Retro says, sounds like even with 10,000 subs after payment processing fees, you'd have a very good start. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're not anywhere close to that at the moment. Right, we've got 2,000 people on our mailing list. But again, as the game continues to take shape, I think we can grow beyond that 2,000 pretty well. Big Al, we've been doing just that, and we've been saving money for the last 2 years. And now that we've got real legit artists on the team as well, it's going even better. Yeah, I mean, if you hit the lottery with your Powerball tickets, this isn't a hugely expensive project. Belfaster said, I think you'd get 10K tomorrow if the game was done, regardless of your current mailing list Discord numbers. More about making them stick at this point, I think. Yep. And so that's a consideration. I do think it could grow. Once we're at a point where we've got things, running smoothly, the content's in there, I'm pretty optimistic. Nicodemus said some Twitch streamers have like Amazon accounts set up so viewers can purchase stuff for them and they can stay anonymous. Can Eminem set up their own accounts so that we can, like, for instance, send bottled water for when Zukin's AC goes out in 113-degree weather? If Zukin wants to set up an account like that, he absolutely can. When the game's more complete, we've talked about keeping the sub. Oh, is that Nick? Yeah, Nick's out there playing. Keeping the sub maybe a little bit cheaper than expected, but allowing you to tip us. Those of you that are new in here that haven't seen the stream before or just familiarizing yourself with the game, it'll be a subscription model. There's no ability to purchase anything in game in any other way than just playing the game and collecting your copper and your silver and your gold and your platinum, and that's that. So no in-game shop, no customizations can be purchased. We will not make any deals with anyone. And again, this is one of those conversations we would have to have with a publisher if they wanted to work with us. Is you're not going to see a special partner item just because we're, like, we don't want to get in a situation where it's, because you bought the game at Best Buy, you get a flaming sword. They're going to make plushies, Little Sean plushies for 40. Now, attention deficit. We do want to make plushies of the old capsule people that we were using for the first year and a half here. So, Nicodemus, thank you for your generosity. BDC Retro, Numalong, Strong One. All got gift subs. That's very kind of you. All right, so, whoop, I'm in the wrong view. Choppy. Man, I have I've got a lot of writing to do in the coming days. I'm excited about it, but it's a shame it's not something I can do while I'm doing this. Squiggly Lines, thank you for 13 months of support. Appreciate it. How are you doing? Yeah, we could probably make some plushies of our spawn points as well. I think that's a wonderful idea. I actually researched getting the capsule people plushies made. So it's just, there's a bit of an upfront investment that we'd have to have. So update location from position, save. Who's next? Who's going in next? Has streaming slowed your development, or is it good from the marketing end, or both? Streaming has not slowed development. I think streaming has expedited development a fair bit, and it's good for marketing. So, and what I mean by streaming being good, like, you guys pop in, a lot of times I'm not super productive. I can explain some stuff. There's always some new people coming in, so I'm kind of retelling the story of the game and all of that. But what streaming's allowed us to do is go from well, first of all, we were talking about the game on stream before there was a game. And so then streaming allowed that discussion to kind of percolate and turn into a real concept. Even the idea of our company name came from a stream where we were talking about making a company, and somebody, Hashpipe or somebody on stream, said, why make a company when you can make a cult? And so then the name of the company is Niche Worlds Cult. So that came from the stream. The idea of what game we wanted to make came from the stream. I met Nick through the stream. I met Bunny through the stream. I met Ali through a friend of the stream. Pretty sure I met Ali through Secret, I thought. But I met Secret through Nick, I think. Then everybody that's on the team has come to us through this stream, if I'm not mistaken. Was there, I'm trying to think who we might have reached out to. One of the animators that we're working with now, we reached out, Goblin reached out to her. But Roberts, I thought, approached me through the stream. Goblin came through Discord, and I can't remember if Goblin had seen the stream or was watching the stream, or someone just recommended he come over to our project. Pattis, Zukin, I thought both came from the stream via in like the job postings. Yeah, and by stream I also mean like the YouTube videos that we post of the VODs and all that stuff. Yeah, pretty much everybody. Goblin reached out through Discord after asking him around the Pantheon Discord. Okay, so fair enough. But if we hadn't been streaming, then the recommendation probably wouldn't have come there. So. And so, while like I'll stream for 3 hours today, I'm at the 1 hour and 32 minute point in the stream. Attention deficit. While I'm not super productive on stream, I think it's really helpful sometimes. The discussions that we have will make me think about something I hadn't thought about before. In the early days of the stream actually helped me learn how to use Blender to make that zone over there, right? So that whole like zone was basically me learning Blender with the stream, giving me detailed instructions. So yeah. Attention deficit is poisonous in Discord. Oh, okay. Poisonous. I don't know that I'm sold on the forums. I'm glad that we have them in there, but I feel like they're hard to read. Poisonous, for those of you that aren't in our Discord, here's a link to our Discord. Poisonous has been posting like basically class-specific threads in the forums. Nick just added the new forum functionality to the Discord. So it's interesting. It's good to have the forums integrated. I like that. Though it's interesting how much ownership Discord has over our community at the moment. Like if Discord were to go away tomorrow or nuke us or whatever, we'd kind of be in, that wouldn't be great. But I'd rather us do that than have like a old school forum on our webpage or something at the moment. Anyways, that's a tangent. I feel like they're a little hard to read still. So hopefully they dump some more effort into their forum feature. Discord does. All right, create a click. So I'm adding another NPC here, and I'll probably move these guys around a little bit, but I'm gonna dump them here for now, and then we can have some conversations off stream about how we want to rearrange some of this stuff. So I'll click on them, move them. I'm going to put this guy... How many different entrances are there to this building? So there's one here. Does it go all the way through? Nope. Good. Good. So that's a front. What about this one? Nope. Here. Okay. So I'm going to move this guy over here just because Seems like the kind of place he would be. He's a tough guy. Nicodemus said, I like the transparency as the developer has allowed me to get an in-depth inside view on all aspects of making games. At some point, I want to get into the games industry. Yeah, and you know what? On the flip side, it's been a great opportunity for us to check out your badass artwork in the community section of the Discord. Those of you that are new here or maybe going to our Discord for the first time, go to, what is it specifically called? I got goldfish brain when I'm streaming. I can't remember anything. Community content. Go to community content on our Discord, scroll up, and you'll see some really wonderful illustrations and other work that Nicodemus has done. We'll face him here. We'll update his position. We'll save him. We'll move to the next one. 1, 4. Kimmery said it's a good way to make a game for your community, which we appreciate. The more that we do this process, the more I can't, like, I wouldn't want to work any other way. We'll see how it goes, though. If you guys wind up being, you know, if the honeymoon wears off and you wind up being jerks later, then maybe that'll change my mind. But so far, you've been fantastic. What's the difference between forums and rooms? It just looks like a harder to read format to me. Discord room? I don't know anything about Discord rooms. I'm a boomer, John. I don't know if you noticed that here. Just so I'm not hiding, because I know with the baseball cap on, I know I look young and hip. And so you probably think I understand how shit like Discord works. But I'm an outdated gaming executive. I'm like budget Bobby Kotick. I'm like the Wish version of Bobby Kotick. I'm Bobby Kotick without the money. So, hopefully not as evil. Probably more evil, just because you don't even you can't even see the evil. But he understands memes like the Wish version of. I mean, you know, hopefully a different evil. Yeah, definitely a different evil. No, please don't take that out of context. I'm a nice guy, I swear. Never trust somebody that says they're a nice guy. Stumpy. Where are we gonna put Stumpy? Stumpy's actually gonna have multiple locations. But for now, much less boomer than most boomers. Yeah, I'm, you know what I mean. Every once in a while, I've got a bag of candy, and every once in a while I'll eat some candy, and that makes me useful, and then all of a sudden, I understand memes. I was wondering, Poison, for here, attention deficit, I was wondering if that's what you did. I thought you were pasting other conversations, because I saw the dates on those things. It was like, why are the dates all jacked? Todd Makes Games said, do you need more dev help? Where can I send my resume, CV? Appreciate the offer. At the moment, we are good to go. I mean, you can always hit me up in DMs, but For now, we're not looking for any new folks, but you never know what'll happen in the future. Discord's greater than forum. Also, if you build Discord functionality into your game, maybe a benefit. MMO with group voice would be nice. There have been some different ideas discussed on how to maybe feed like different things like guild chat out or etc. So we'll see as we go. Thanks, Sean. Yep. I think you should add NPC spears with their carrot noses as an enemy type. If we run out of budget later, then we may have to do that. And we'll bring back the capsules too. Alright, Stumpy. Create it, click. Angel, what are you laughing at? What did Tappert say? Okay, the thing I just said. Oh, you're probably laughing at. I'm probably just over half your age and my hair is looking about the same. You're either doing really good or I'm doing really bad. My hairline's always been kind of... I've always had like a crazy widow's peak receding hairline, so that's nothing new. But, yeah. I'm going to be 48 years old in March. So overall, much like many people, while I wouldn't mind a bit more hair, I'm pretty happy in general with how things have shaped up. Nicodemus said it'll be interesting to see what organizational changes there will be for Activision after Microsoft merger is done. I think I prefer indie, smaller group development than a large company. Yeah. What happened to the rumor that Microsoft was looking to buy EA? Did you see that? John dinged 50 in July? Oh, right on. Congrats. Yeah, 50's the new 30, I think. I'm hoping to get there. Well, I said 48. I feel like that's Gen X. It is Gen X, but millennials and Zoomers don't seem to understand that Gen X is a thing. Nor do they seem to understand that Gen X is cooler than they'll ever be. So, we've got to sit here and listen to this like boomer bullshit. Frickin' youngins. Kids these days. Where's Wallace supposed to go? Oh, we'll put him at the inn, actually. The barkeep finally has a buddy. I've got the floor turned off so I could see the stuff that I was spawning in here. What are these guys doing? What are you guys doing? Why are you doing that? We'll have to come back and fix that at some point. Well, it's interesting with this stuff turned off. boy. There we go. That's better. Now where's the bar? There it is. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. There you go. What are you guys talking about over here? Are you talking about me? I know games got to make money, but there seems to be a huge disconnect between players and the shareholders. Not the players and the shareholders, I don't think. The representatives of the shareholders are the board of directors. And I think there's a disconnect between the player and the board of directors who represent the shareholders. Or maybe upper management. You got to realize, like, upper managements. First of all, these companies are huge, and upper management in these companies are like legit executives, often from other industries that didn't come up through games necessarily, that didn't work on, like, they weren't line producers or game designers or artists. A lot of them, they're people that got MBAs from somewhere and then maybe worked in marketing or some other type of company and then became executives. They're excellent dressers. They're great speakers. They're very alpha. But they're not, a lot of them are just not gamers. Now they will tell you that they play a little bit of like Call of Duty or whatever. But for the most part, they're suits. They're not nerds. So, and that's just kind of the way these companies are. They're very different beasts. Used to go to EA back in the day. We were just like scrappy, scrubby developer types walking around, and you'd see just all of these, corporate sharks in their black blazers and their designer black t-shirt and their designer jeans. Dirk Stryker. I spent 23 years working in management of various companies, including GM, Ford Motor Company, and now I'm here making video games. Yeah. And I'm at EA. Where's the party at? Yeah, and so it was super annoying, just being like game developer dude walking around. We need to make that guy an NPC. We murdered Dirk Stryker. It's probably Dirk Stryker. Would he actually be a brigand? Tappert, John Crichton, thank you for the follows. Oh, you guys, sorry, I'm coming late to the party about the fire beetle stuff. Yeah, there's something going on down there. No, I see Dirk Stryker as somebody coming in. He'd come in here and, like, because we've got business people and factions that are sort of controlling trade and business, all sorts of shady characters and shit here in this city. So we'll see. Maybe Dirk Stryker will make an appearance. All right, so we got our good friend Wallace in there. We'll go back to that building to put Kieran in. Hey, well below average. How are you today? Was John Smedley actively playing EQ most of the time he was involved? I know he's seen as an anomaly since he played, at least for... No, Smedley was, and I would have to assume is, a gamer. But when I talk about executives at these bigger companies, that's not like the executives of that SOE. The bulk of the people at SOE were really legit, decent folk while I was there. Like Russ Shanks and Smed. Like even our vice president of marketing I don't think he was. I don't know if he was that much of a gamer. I can't remember, but he was a rad dude and really gave a shit about like sort of what people. You know what I mean? Like he was trying to keep it fairly legit. So. I remember like the first EA I was going to, it was back, you got to realize like 20 years ago, having a full sleeve wasn't as normal. You know, people didn't have face tattoos and stuff for the most part. You know, every 17-year-old with their mom's credit card didn't have like full neck tattoos and shit. And so we had these short sleeves like polo shirts with like Variant on them or whatever. And I was like, is it cool if my tattoos are showing? Because I'd actually been told that me having a full sleeve by one of the people on the team told me having a full sleeve and facial piercings might be frowned upon, like, and prevent me from getting on the team. Like, that's how weird it was back in the day. So anyway, so I asked Don Vercelli, the vice president of marketing, I was like, is it cool if I got tattoos? You know, at EA, or I mean at E3, and he was like, and he has like this very gravelly voice, and he's just kind of like, "What? Yeah, no, man, kids love that shit. They'll eat it up. That's great, man." And, you know, it's just like, oh, okay, cool. But that was like an actual question back then. And then we'd see the Rockstar guys, and they were just like, cool as shit. Alright, so I'll move these guys around a little bit later when I reread, sort of. But for now, I think it's good enough. Front position, save. Why is this way? Oh, yeah, he's probably not there anymore. I'm too busy blabbling, blah blah, doing my thing, and not. Oh, interesting. But he is there. 65. So let's dump this. Disable, enable. See what I did wrong. Was he in one of the big guilds like other devs were? Smed? I'm not sure, but I know he played the shit out of games. So fun Smed story. My ex and I stayed up all night outside of a Target to get the first like run of Xbox 360s, and I can't remember if I called in like sick or said I wasn't going to be at work the next day or what the deal was. But I don't think I went to work the next day. So I'm at this Target all night, waiting in line to get an Xbox 360, and right after I got mine and was like leaving because they were escorting some of us in to get them and then go. As we were walking out, I guess we had already paid there. And this is like 6 in the morning or something. Smed was walking in. He was like, oh shit, Smed. And I had all of the gear, with controllers, games, everything just piled up. And he's like, oh nice, you got one. Like, I'm here to get mine as well. So, I mean, he's that kind of dude. And there's pluses and minuses. He was a CEO that had very strong opinions about what the game should be and stuff like that. Sometimes, and in a bigger company, so he wasn't necessarily there working on the game every day. And so sometimes he'd be like, don't do this or do this, and then we'd have to talk about it. But I mean, honestly, I found him to be a reasonable dude to sort of debate with in person, and a pretty good-hearted person who, some people have complaints. Naturally, some people have their issues with him or whatever. But for the most part, I found him to be a decent dude. So, But then again, people have their issues with me as well. And before the project's all over with, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of stories the team can tell you about what a giant jerk I am too. Kimmery said, worked at a bar at the same time as my first industry job. I had to wear long sleeves to cover my tattoo at the bar, not at the studio. Awesome change. Why do you think gaming has become so corporate? Do you think it's investors and office politics, or is there more to it? I feel like mainstream devs don't have the same vibe anymore, even the old ones that everyone used to love. Well, people change over time, so I don't know. I mean, that's probably a factor. But to answer your question, when I got in the industry in 2000, it's when gaming was starting to either catch up or just surpass the movie industry in terms of box office revenue. And I don't know, how much does the movie industry make these days? I know the gaming industry is what, $200 billion a year industry? Angel, thank you for the follow. Let's look. Game industry revenue 2022. Games industry revenue will pass $200 billion in 2022. That's $200 billion. Movie industry revenue 2022. The movie industry, as of 2020, the U.S. movie industry is worth $91.83 billion. Box office revenue was only $2 billion. So, for perspective, Genshin Impact, which has been out just as a random that I tend to go to. Forbes. Piss off. 2021. In just 6 months since release, Genshin Impact has reportedly crossed the $1 billion in revenue mark. So in 6 months, Genshin Impact made half of what the box office revenue was for 2020 in 6 months. So Fortnite has made what, a couple billion, couple 3 billion at this point. So the reason why gaming has become so corporate is because gaming is a massive, ridiculously profitable industry. $5 in net profit. I think they did better than that. I'm pretty sure they didn't spend billions making that game. So, and when you're dealing with that kind of money, you know what I mean? Like, you get money people get involved, right? It's no joke. I mean, it's one of those things where we talk about it and we're like, we can mention those numbers and they just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. That's a cool number. But you got to think, like, how much more money's involved in gaming now compared to the industry that, I mean, we know directors' names. We know, a handful, everybody knows a handful of movie directors' names. You know dozens of actors and actresses' names. There's Oscars and shit. They're treated like golden gods walking among us in LA, right? Like, people give a shit about what they think about, like, global warming and nuclear proliferation and other things they have no concept of. And then here's gaming that basically just came and drank their milkshake. And we're competing with them for attention, right? We're creating IP. So it's not just a movie now that's like generating the IP that's going to generate the next set of toys or whatever, like a Star Wars. More and more you'll see that be stuff that comes out of gaming. So I can catch up now. I missed some things up there. But always seemed cool. Shame about all the hate and harassment received over what a game. I mean, that's one of the downsides to working in games for lots of folks. I've had to have, well, I didn't have to have, it was, I mean, it wasn't going to be a big deal, but when we went to Baltimore for the fanfare, some player I banned said that he was going to come and beat me up or kill me or something, and so we had security there. But I'd met the guy at the Vegas fanfare before that. Not to brag, but I could take him. I could take him. I wasn't worried about him. I'm so like half paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm fairly certain I've introduced a bug or two that I'll have to fix later. It's Zygiel. Hello. Game makes toys, makes films. How much money is in the Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite IPs? Got to be redonkulous. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what did Roblox IPO at? Roblox IPO. $30 billion? Valued at $30 billion. That's pretty crazy. And then if we look, oh, there's websites. Yeah. Anyways, looking something up that's a point that's not worth making. All right, so I think I've got everybody. Angel said, I'm new here. Are the carrot spheres placeholders that will become mobs NPCs? Yeah, so here, let's check it out. I was in the scene view with our placement tool. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm going in here, I'm taking these folks that are part of this encounter table, and I'm adding them to the zone. And so if I go here to Night Harbor, this interface allows Unity to interface with our database. And so if I go here, Night Harbor, scroll down, it should be these NPCs right here. So Sinistan, if Irfan, Stumpy, etc. Shout about to repop. Oh, looks like Gherkinstaff's in. Nice. So I'll give them a minute just in case they're doing something, and then I'll repop the zone. By repop, I mean I'm going to repopulate the zone that we're in with the latest data from the database. All right. Slash repop. So now you can see the guys that we were placing are here. Here's Stumpy. Later on, we'll have Stumpy sitting. So when he spawns in, he'll then be sitting. Irfan's here. Let's see. What'd you guys say? Somebody is asking, when did it really start getting corporate? This will just be me talking out of my ass, but I'm assuming when the companies, like when EA and some of the existing companies that were smaller but sort of like staple companies when I was a kid, right? Because I remember playing Bard's Tales and Wasteland and all this other shit that came from EA, and it was just my assumption is as those companies continue to grow, and then probably as there was probably more sort of like mergers and acquisitions of smaller companies, that's when it started to get more corporate. And I can't speak definitively on like the evolution of a company like Ubisoft or anything like that. My assumption is it probably happened the same way, where it started as kind of a more of a core company, and then as it evolved and got bigger and bigger. I've seen this in other industries, right? Like I had friends in the skateboarding industry that as they went from being a couple $1 million a year skateboard company to being essentially a company valued at like 60-70 million, and they were a smaller company relative to the bigger companies, right? Like they would have to bring in people that actually understood how to handle that kind of cash. Now what they tended to do was they would bring in corporate people on contract for a year, and then my friend would basically work with that person the whole time they were there, learn everything that person knew essentially, and then they would just not renew the contract. That way they could keep the company as core as possible, because what they didn't want to do was either sell and then have the company not be core anymore, or get in more and more management that weren't skateboarders, and have the culture of the company change. Then they would no longer be core, and that was their shtick. So I think there's some of that kind of has to happen at times. But I mean, I saw it in my last company as well. The closer you get to a point where the original investors want to sell the company and like push that valuation as high as possible, the more the board of directors, who represents the interests of the shareholders, will look to get people with experience in things like, it's getting the company to the point where folks could exit, or where they can be acquired by a bigger company, etc. So, and right now, not right now, I'd say over the last like 5 years at least, if you look, big companies, especially not just out of like, not just out of Asia, but if you look at the bigger companies out of Sweden, Stillfront, I don't know if EG7 counts as this, but I would say yeah, because they do have a decent number of companies that they own now. Embracer Group, the company that was buying up the last company I was at, Nordisk Games out of Denmark. Like these companies are just gobbling stuff up, right? And the people that run those companies aren't necessarily gamers. A lot of them are bankers. Or they'll have some, they'll have some executives that came up through the ranks or gamers or whatever, but for the most part, it's banking folks. And they live in a world that I don't understand with experience that I don't have. I'm definitely not the adult in the room in those situations. Somebody asked, can you explain what Roblox is and why it's so popular with kids? Seems like Minecraft knockoff. Not really. Belfaster, I think, does a good job of explaining it. Belfaster says, my understanding is it has much more self-contained mods, almost to where you can create a mini game within the game itself. Minecraft mods seem to be more advanced, but also not as kid-friendly to set up. No, I mean you can full-on build games within that platform. It's essentially a tool set and a content delivery platform that is easy enough for kids to use, but sophisticated enough that there are actual companies that do nothing but build Minecraft games within Minecraft. And if anything, it's one of those platforms that when people talk about the metaverse and all this other stuff, it kind of feels like the ability for the ease with which user-generated content can be created within that platform and sort of the way that things are connected. It's more in that direction than a lot of other things that are just a virtual world or some other game that people are like, oh, it's the metaverse. It's not. Stuff you make in Roblox can be monetized as part of the ecosystem. Correct. That was from Corpus. Yeah, and some of the games are like these 3-second like game loop, like don't step on the fire, and then there's 20 people playing and 19 of them are just, they lose within like 4 seconds, and it's just this like hyperactive game loop. It's very interesting. There's some beautiful stuff. Somebody linked a Roblox game in here a few weeks ago that was really gorgeous. Nicodemus said, Miyamoto, Kojima, Richard Garriott, Sid Meier, John Carmack are a few of the great game creators for those who want to know some of the people behind great games. Most of you probably already know, though. Yeah, I mean, Will Wright. There are tons, and if you like that kind of stuff, if you guys are new here, you want to see or watch some discussions and interviews from people that worked on EQ back in the day. I've got like 60 hours of VODs of those folks discussing, coming in and like hanging out with us and talking about stuff. But yeah, if you dig around, there's some great like books out there covering some of those early years and people's backgrounds. Listened to a book about Gary Gygax a few months ago that was fantastic. I think it's called Empires of Imagination. $1.92 billion in revenue for 2021 for Roblox, Turnip said. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. So basically, Roblox made the entire box office revenue. Roblox at this point is essentially a game engine. When I used to play it as a kid, it was so simple, but now people make everything in it. And then Turnip said, it's weird to hear someone say when I played Roblox as a kid. is actually kind of cool. Tappert said, it's been out so long, I think I was 13 or so when I first heard about it from a friend. I can't believe it's still so popular. Yeah, it's cool. And I bet if you were to dig into the company, you'd find a level of sophistication that's kind of, you know, in line with what I was discussing earlier in terms of the people running the show. So, all right, so we got Stumpy, check. Wallace will be at the end, so we'll go there in a minute. And yeah, guys, usually it doesn't take me an hour to add 5 NPCs, but that's what I get for being so chatty. Irvin, check. Siniston, Kieran, Galliana, great. Good to see all of you. Let's go check on Wallace. Every time we go to birthday parties, the kids just want Robux or whatever the currency is called. It makes sense. Come to find out, Roblox is run like one of those small Japanese towns. The CEO's chair spins around and it's a damn cat. Wonderful imagery, Belfaster. Second Life could have stolen Roblox lunch if they'd focused on kids rather than furries. You know what? There are all sorts of audiences out there. I used to run an art gallery in Second Life. My avatar was a chubby devil, cartoon devil cherub, and I would basically have like arts from some of my favorite artists that were having art shows and stuff in California at the time. What's up, Bork Boy? I have overshot the inn. I need to go this way. Yeah, so time to penis in Second Life is so fast that they're clearly two different target audiences. Excuse me, what? It's a game development metric. Time to penis. And yeah, so Turnip nailed it. The time it takes for a penis to be created in game. If you've got user-generated content, you've got to basically consider time to penis. Like, if we have corpses in our game, so somebody will take a level 1 gnome, and they will die until their corpses make a penis. Time to penis is normally quite short. Irony. That seems appropriate. Just blew my mind that that is a considerable metric. Yeah, I mean there are others that are also they're not quite as nice. So time to penis is actually one of the safer metrics of the sort. Tappert said presenting to investors, and I'm proud to say that our latest build has a TTP of only 3.1 minutes compared to the previous iterations 5.5 minutes. Unless of course you're Roblox and making games for kids, then you want that to basically just not be a thing. For us, I think the placeholder Wizard's Tower in Sage Side is where we hit that metric. Yeah, it's raining now, so you can't really see it. But We definitely have a Disney movie poster type phallus in our city already. Orc Boy, thank you. It's currently looking a bit rainy, but overall, things are coming together. Belfaster, back to your Japanese town CEO cat in a chair thing. A former coworker told me the story of being interviewed by Kojima. And the story he told is Nick's playing with the placeholder, the initial sculpt halfling. I don't think it's been chunkified yet, but it is cute. What a cutie. Halfling's a bit small. Halfling's like gnome height, it feels like, at the moment. Anyways, so he said he went into this conference room, and he went into the conference room, and there was like the big table and everything and a big screen, and two Japanese guys were talking to him, and then Kojima came up on the big screen. And so that's kind of how it went. I forget the details of the story. I'm going to have to ask him again for him to tell me that full story again so I could tell it better. But it was just like, he said the interview was the most Kojima experience you could have imagined. Have you decided what you want, shorter halflings or gnomes? I think gnomes are smaller than our halflings. Turnipgen said, most of the time we don't actually care, Tapper, but if your game is geared towards kids, you want it eliminated to agree that it's possible to eliminate. Yeah, it's so having come from a company that was making games for not only kids but young girls, the amount of security shit that you have to consider is really wild. The level of sophistication of bad guys that are out there is really disgusting. And so the shit that you have to do to be able to protect your audience, there's some great tools for basically monitoring chat sort of invisibly. And it's one of those things where, especially if you're making a game for kids, the stuff that you've got to just kind of be prepared for, the level of integration that you need to have with different authorities, especially if you're a game that's a sort of multinational game or a game with an international audience. So we, at my last company, we actually had a police criminologist, a Swedish police criminologist, her sole focus is in this area, come in and talk to us. And it was just one of those things where it was, in my entire career, it is definitely high on the list of the craziest shit that I've had to listen to or learn. It was one of the craziest presentations, without going into details, but just to sort of cap off the degree to which it's a serious issue and how seriously kids game companies, and I'm sure I've read different articles about the sophistication of the tools that Roblox has in place. Dude, at the end of that presentation, half the company was freaked out, in tears, bummed out. And you know, it's just one of those things where you've got to take it so seriously. But fortunately, there are a lot of companies making really good tools, right? So yeah, being a parent these days is gnarly, but being a good parent these days is probably the best first line of defense on any of that stuff. So parents that are watching what their kids are doing and keep an eye on that stuff and keeping a fairly tight control on all of that, good for you. All right, so I've got these guys in. I'll be working on some quests for them soon, but I'm gonna basically be moving into the cleric area next. Already been thinking about them, dusting off the lore and getting ready to start their starter quest. So we'll be over there. We'll be over there starting on Tuesday. Hopefully I'll have the stuff written up and might even have it implemented again. The way that I did the Archer stuff of just basically getting it all implemented, but then waiting to test it until we're on stream will probably be what I do here as well. But yeah, we'll be looking at this area. And then it's fun because as I think about the quests and go through the lore and made some changes to the lore, updated a little bit, then it'll be fun to get with Pattis and... Oh, you guys are still naked. Okay. Get with Pattis and update the layout a little bit. Tapper says it's not something I've ever thought of, but it's so important to consider in games marketed towards kids. Yeah, like I said, there's some really good tools out there. There's an AI company called Crisp that's got some really sophisticated tools for monitoring text and flagging different behaviors and essentially providing the ability to have like real-time reaction to different behaviors and flag accounts and monitor them in different ways and all that other stuff. And so and then essentially I know more and more like police, at least in Europe, are doing work to like be integrated in into like basically have contact points or touch points for game companies that are dealing with kids so that they can have quicker reaction times and basically feed certain data in. The company Palantir, which does a lot of work with like the US and other governments and like intelligence agencies and stuff, they worked with, I forget where it was, like if it was in Denmark or where, but they worked with authorities to use their tools to basically integrate like some of these predators profiles and social media and everything else into their system to basically allow them to better flag behavior. So yeah, Trace, thank you for the Prime sub. Yeah, so I mean, as much as it's a shitty subject, it is good that there are people out there that are making good tools for it. And then over time, some of the stuff that kind of falls out of those tools can actually help in environments where it's not, you know, it's not for kids, right? Because there's stuff that they do with like chat monitoring, etc. that, you know, for a far lesser kind of like crime or whatever of dealing with botters and RMT and other bad behavior in games, it'll make it easier and easier for us to do a better job with our communities in online games. Zaba said, only just dropped in, but yeah, it's bad. When I was a teenager, 13, 14, we had some guy infiltrate our guild pretending to be our age. Luckily, we were all aware. Hello, fellow kids. But this became a recurring problem. I'm shocked how often it often still is not being taken seriously in a lot of games. Yeah. I mean, some games where they're like basically they don't consider kids to be their target audience. I guess it's easier not take it seriously, but like true kids companies are getting pretty sophisticated in sort of trying to mitigate that and counter that behavior. And Vagrant said growing up on the internet helps encountering creeps in the early days of AOL. Yeah. Belfaster said, quite the contrast from kid me fishing AOL accounts so I could make sure I always had internet access available to play online games when parents didn't understand or trust the concept of using credit cards online. Turnip's comments actually what the criminologist told us as well. Encourage your kids to tell you everything. Periods, poop, sexual thought, everything. If your kids are willing to talk to you openly, then that is half the battle of protecting them. Yeah, so those of you that are parents, that's what the criminologist was saying. Because the other thing too is that relationship's so important because the way that these dudes work is they basically just try to, once they've got a hook in, like some sort of a link into a kid, and again, this isn't to sketch folks out, and I know this isn't our usual topic, and we're not making a game aimed at kids, but still, I think the fact that we're making a game aimed at kind of an older crowd, a lot of you have kids or grandkids, so it's, I think it's a worthwhile topic. The thing that winds up happening, this lady told us is, they'll gather enough information about the family, and they'll gather enough information about the family that they can basically blackmail the kid into doing shit. Like, that's a very common MO. And so they'll be like, oh, well, you want me to kill Fluffy? Or, it's weird because I don't even like saying it out loud because it's just so sketchy. But they'll be like, yeah, I know where your family lives and blah, blah, blah. Or, I know you've got a little brother, or all this stuff. And so it's like horrific. And I think, think about it. If you're a young kid, you all of a sudden you got that weight on your shoulders. The best line of defense is just having a relationship with the kids in a way where when something like that pops off, they immediately go, I don't give a shit what the threat is. I'm gonna go talk to my, mom or dad or whatever. Yeah, so. It was one of those things where even working at a company where we took it seriously until we sat and talked with her, I did not realize like how horrible and gnarly of a problem it is. Out there in general, social media, I think, or I know based on what she was telling us, social media is as big, if not a bigger vector for this type of behavior, because DMs exist, right? And so, yeah, it was one of those things where having, even with the life experience that I've had and being in the army and all this other stuff, like the sort of the knowledge that she dropped on us that day was some of the just sketchiest, just worst shit I've ever heard in my life. Oh, we gotta fix this guy. Millicent, let's fix you while we're here. Belfaster said online games made me step up my maturity because I wanted to fit in and didn't want people to know I was 10 or 12 or whatever. So I'd always try to sound as professional as I could. Nice. Yeah. Like Nick was running his guild and like running raids at like age 11. Though they may, I don't know, Nick can say if they knew he was that young. I don't think they did. Zaba said this is very true. I also learned like this and that. I had no clue how much I was sharing with strangers online. My parents used to be super supportive with this and sit with me through uncomfortable situations. Now I'm nearly 30, still thankful for how they sat me through this and taught me how to handle it. Yeah. The folks that are in here that are like in their 30s, it's for me, it's thinking back 15 years, I was still like super adult. You know what I mean? The fact that you guys were like teens and shit and had always had this level of access to the internet, it's pretty crazy. Let's go fix this guy. Nope, NPC. What's going on with your outfit, Millicent? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Vagrant said you guys got me considering streaming, though I'm not sure how much I want to show off. I like keeping things under wraps. Yeah, it's definitely not an approach for everybody. I think for a lot of games, folks aren't going to want to do it this way. Well, he no longer has a red face, but he's not rocking a robe, so I'll have to learn how to set this up properly. What's up, Keebs? This guy's got pants on. He's wearing a onesie. Yeah, I mean, this is a comfortable space. Let's see. Oop. I don't think that's going to do what I want it to do, but it doesn't hurt to try. Yeah, so that'll just be that for now. Hey, Nick. John said I had the same experience. I started playing EQ at 12. Didn't want anyone to know my age, so they would treat me normal. It's funny. It's funny that's the consideration. I think I honestly I think I kind of had my own. I think I had my own experience of that, what you guys are describing, when I was on bulletin boards, but I didn't do a ton of communication when I was on playing like BBS games, so. It's weird that Discord groups don't allow you to block TMs when you create them. You guys are crazy. Yeah, Tapper. I think more and more developers will understand. Sort of understand the implications there. And honestly, as the tool sets become more available, less costly, easier to deploy and stuff, I think it's just a great way to improve the quality of the community. And there's a level of sophistication. Nick was asking me what sleeves I'm wearing. So I said I made this as a quest reward. It's a hack in the current dressing room setup, but it worked. Nick, I mean, you're on stream, so I'm being redundant. Yeah, so basically, we need to get the we've got to get our pieces sliced up a little bit more so that we can get more like bracers and sleeves and tunics and all that stuff going. We'll get the belt in. Those of you that haven't seen some of the customization here, let me backpack. So now I've got a backpack item. Let me see what's one of the, is it, I'll just look in the database because I don't know it offhand and I don't want to do the thing here. I'll get these other two items. Item, pouch. Ah, it's just pouch. Well, that's easy enough. Add a couple belt pouches. So you can see, we'll give you the option to be able to display some stuff. It'll look even better when the belt's in. But, you know, like potions and scrolls and books, quivers, different backpacks. You know, and some of them might have properties like a little lantern hanging, things like that. But yeah, so we're continuing to keep the blockier, chunky sort of look, but then add in some of this additional stuff. And so yeah, with a belt, I think that'll wind up looking really good. If you look at our old updates, you'll see them on a skeleton, and it looks particularly badass. Is the backpack purely cosmetic? No, it's an actual backpack. So that's that. Well, don't mess around with somebody in that underwear. He's just hanging out in his long johns, and you're trying to start something. Have I applied for partner yet, if you don't mind me asking? Turnip, I did, because I just needed to click a button, and so, yeah, we'll see. I only did it so that we could maybe unlock more emotes or something. And I think they changed their policy that allows partners to stream other places if we want to do that as well, so. Yeah. So if I buy a backpack and I put it in my inventory, it will show up on my person. Yeah, so check it out. And now we're probably going to, and I know some of you don't like this idea, but tough. We'll provide options to allow some of this stuff to not appear. That way, if you've got like a nice cape, and you want to show that and not the backpack, then, you know, you can flag that. So I know that some of you are purists and you want it to be everything one for one. I get it. But Mr. Evil Rex, some people just want it to be very much like what you see is what you get. But with something like this, where we're doing it with, you know, essentially your container or your whatever inventory elements like this, then then it just seems fair. Yeah, so yeah, no transmogs, but hiding equipment is there. Yep, so different bag types, definitely going to be exciting to see. Having different stuff here, like maybe we'll have an item that's, you know, it's named like a flask holder or something. And in theory, we talked about this a little bit, don't really like the idea of having these slots be restricted, but we'll see if we change that over time. So, I mean, in theory, you could put whatever in your flask holder, but the flask holder itself would be represented as like a flask. You know, yeah, same thing with quiver, different bandoliers and things of that nature. I have no boot. But will capes clip? They probably will. Let's be real. But we're gonna be playing with, our cloth. What do you even call it? Cloth plugin, cloth asset, etc. I mean, what do we call that? Goblin was just talking about it. Yeah, so we're playing around with something called magic cloth. And so, what is the proper term for magic cloth? Magic cloth is a... magic cloth. Magica cloth. That's what it is. Yeah, so it's just physics. I mean, it's an... I guess you call it an asset? I mean, it's cost simulation. Would you call that an asset? Anyway. It's something that we're not developing from scratch. So. Is there a way to make the sun less bright without waiting for nighttime? It's an interesting question, Justin. Magica cloth. Yeah. Thank you, Vagrant. Vagrant said, I tried that one, but found the built-in Unity cloth sim acceptable. I'll keep that in mind as we're doing it. I'll let Ollie know. Gnomish sunglasses were definitely a potential solution that I was thinking about as well. John. So Turnip saying fashion is part of MMOs for sure, but any system which allows characters to look however they want, irrespective of what they actually have or have on, is a bit immersion breaking to me. I respect differing opinions here, but for this type of MMO, I think it's important. Yeah, and so we don't. Again, we'll handle the variability of aesthetics for certain items in game through some mechanism, and have it be rooted as much in the world and in the game as possible. But as Turnip's saying, we will allow some disabling of showing stuff just so that it's not it's not a misrepresentation of what you have. It's just electing to not show it. Gnomish glasses that tint screen color in first person. I love that idea. So Gary likes the idea, and Gary can actually implement the idea, and Gary loves gnomes. So if Gary doesn't forget, gem fog here in chat, then you may actually see that. Is that more of a late game backpack you're showing now? This one's pretty sophisticated, right? And we'll have to talk about representing stuff that's not actually there. So we've got a scroll on here, and we've got a shovel. We got a bedroll. And so we'll have to talk about that as far as should we be showing that type of stuff? Is there a way to maybe have certain contents of your backpack show? Is that going too far? So look at this. We got a gnome at the bar. It's looking like a damn game. Gary's filing a ticket so we don't forget. Perfect. There was another ticket that I meant to file earlier, like right as I was logging in. If you add a lantern, dangles, provides light would be one of those things that'd be really cool to be able to do. What was the... There was... Oh, man. I'm so bummed because now I can't think of what it was. What was it that I was doing? What bit of functionality? Oh well. It'll come to me again after the stream when my brain's working properly. Will player name tags stay the same color as NPC name tags? I'm assuming so, Belfaster. Why is there... Do you have a preference? I see what you're saying. I don't know. What's your preference, Pat? Because for me, I like the idea that everything just kind of looks the same. Because then it'll make them feel a little bit more invisible. Trying to envision 100 people at this bar? I mean... This is hopefully what the bar looks like. So this will be the bar. Vagrant said Night Harbor gets comfier every week. Yep. That just sounds horrible. Imagine a quest telling you to find an NPC at the bar without an indicator over their name. If the players also have same color nameplates, it'd be a nightmare. Yes. But for some reason, when you describe it like that, it sounds fun to me. How do we get to the basement now? Did that move? I forget. Oh, it's past this guy. Because somebody was down there. Killing. Yeah, there's the idea that you need to reveal some names, NPC names too. So that was an idea we've been discussing for like a year now. We'll have to lock that down and actually see how we want to approach implementation. Because there was an idea that you might basically behind the bar. Okay. Oh, here comes. So it would be a barkeep, and then when you hail a barkeep, you could basically either ask them their name, or if somebody like sent you to the barkeep in this end, when they send you to the barkeep, instead of a barkeep, you'll now know their name because they're sending you to Billy Barkeep. And so things would go from being generic to, as you interact with more and more of the game, you start to learn their names and stuff. So we'll have to see if that actually makes it in, because it's one of those ideas we've discussed for like a year now, and there's definitely some stuff that would need to be changed, and some things to consider before it comes to fruition. But I still kind of like the idea, just based off this idea that you're becoming more familiar with the name. Maybe after a while you learn the barkeep's name, the barkeep learns yours and tells you you've had enough. Yeah. And takes the keys to your horse. So Keith, I think a lot of the work, I mean, there's some work to be done in the database if we're going to do that as well, right? Because we need NPCs to have 2 names then. Or more than 2? Yeah, potentially. I'm not actively thinking through the cases. Confusion debuff that randomizes all NPC names. Or it just turns them off. Fake names? Yeah. Well, it would be maybe, so Whispering Wallace up there would be, you know, a citizen or whatever. And then you learn that his name's actually, whatever, Wallace McGee. And then you learn that, but some people call him Whispering Wallace. So that would be 3 names. Erkenstaff. I want a quest. I want a quest, please. Just talking to NPCs. That's, yeah. I appreciate your optimism. We're just now getting that stuff in. Like display name, ID name. So ID name would be separate. So ID would be what we're foreign keying. Then we'd have display name 1, display name 2, or display name, real name, generic name, real name. Would higher charisma help you befriend NPCs quicker? Golden gloves? I don't know. Can you imagine being killed by a grain beetle? What a heroic death. Gnomeling. We all start somewhere. At their highest charisma, their name just becomes a phone number. Ooh la la. Dargit said, I really like the idea of multiple aliases. There's tons of cool stuff you could do with that in quest gating. Like perhaps you find out the barkeep is Mike Mackin, and that later allows you to access some quests from him. Later you find out he's actually Lord Dreadful, the head of a doomsday cult that gives epic level quests or something. I would consider an array of names. 0 is bartender, 1 is John, 2 is Whispering Willie, and the player would have a flag for that NPC. 012, which would then be used to display the correct name depending on level of knowledge. Yeah, I mean, all of this is kind of interesting. Keith, like I said, this sounds like it may be in your wheelhouse in terms of helping us get it in at some point. I'll have to check and see if we've got an issue written up for this, because we've talked about it in the past, but I don't think it's in the database and prioritized though. We've got some other stuff that we need for quests and things that'll be fun once it's in. Term said, this is my first time. This is the first time I've ever heard any game mention a feature like this. I'm totally stealing it. Cool. I'm glad we made something steal-worthy. Well, or at least discuss something steal-worthy. I mean, it just seemed like a cooler way to potentially give you a little bit of insight on, like, an NPC that you're looking for a quest or whatever. Because again, the example would be, say we were talking to somebody across town who is like, go speak with Barkeep Milligan or whatever his name is. And if you'd come through here before and not interacted with the barkeep, didn't get his name, because that was one of those things that I would always do in Ultima, right? When you were playing Ultima, you'd walk up and there was no name tag, and so you go up to an NPC, you don't know who the hell it is. Like back in the day, the old Ultimas, like Ultima 2, 3, etc. And so one of the things you would ask is like, what's your name? So, just the thought, is there a break in a wall in the cellar where the grain beetles are getting in? Oh, that's a great thought, Nicodemus. But yeah, so this idea of when they send you over here to talk to Barkeep Milligan, if you haven't interacted with him before, then you would see, because what's implied is whoever you are talking to about the barkeep gave you enough information that you know. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Sorry, I just started reading what Belfaster was writing. I do this shit all the time when I'm streaming. I'm like, I'm rambling, I'm reading, I'm still rambling. Can NPC display different names for different players at the same time? Yeah, because that'll all just be client side. Great way to encourage lore buffs to go around and speak to everyone. Exactly. Think it could help prevent the need to spawn different instances of the same mob to receive a quest. Instead, you define your relationship with the mob. Dargeth, that's a good point as well. Belfaster said, I'm convinced all player/NPC names should look the same. Maybe EQ didn't go far enough and it's a slippery slope to targeting circles, which I'm not a big fan of. I like there to be room for players to make mistakes if they're not paying attention. And it just, so my thought was it should just feel, when you see, come in here for the first time and there's players standing here and there's Whispering Wallace, my assumption is you're going to know, or a barkeep or whatever, you know that that's an NPC and it's not a player. But we're treating them the same, and we're reinforcing the idea that you should treat them the same, because you're interacting with them through your chat box. Hello, fellow NPCs. Right, and so those interactions there, it's all kind of... So the more we can kind of keep consistent sort of interaction metaphors in place, then, the better, is my belief. for the time being. How customizable will the in-game notepad be in terms of organization for content? Will we be able to use bullet points to break up and organize a list of items required for quests, for example? We want to make the notepad as robust as possible because we're not giving you a quest journal. Some of the things that we do on top of that, though, is there'll be little hints at times, like let me SI, is it? Here, let me look the item up real quick. So I'll show you an example of one of the other things that we'll be doing a little bit of as we make stuff. And it may differ from designer to designer, but all right, so yeah, copy. So what I've been doing with some stuff is in the item name, right? So Lorinda's pack, she gives you this to, well, hell, if I had forgotten, Lorinda gave you this pack to collect, excuse me, to collect Ashira bracers. Don't forget to close it once it's full, right? I mean, that last part may be too much, but for now it's different items. On there, if it's a quest item specifically, it'll give you a little reminder of where it came from and stuff. Right, so, but then within, you know, /note or whatever, then we'll make this more and more robust. And have that be a cool tool. I really like the integration of the notepad in Project Organ. Todd Makes Games said, how do you all manage a project? Kanban or something else? Any specific tools do you use? So we use Trello a little bit. We use Trello, Google Sheets, basically spreadsheet. And we use Slack a ton, just ton of Slack. And so we're not super tight on project management. GitHub issues, yeah, Nick, that's actually huge. GitHub issues, especially on the tech side, feature requests and bugs. We're at what, like 1,100 issues or something at this point. Let me look. 377 open issues, 651 closed issues for the project so far. And so it's just a combination of those things. And different people do it differently. With Trello, we've got an integration in one of our channels that allows us to see any updates to like the Trello board. With GitHub, we have an integration in Slack in a different channel that's named Kanban, that shows basically all of the changes within GitHub. So if someone makes a comment, closes an issue, adds an issue or whatever, you can see it there. If there's an easier way of showing you our GitHub without putting our security at risk, I would, but I think there's a little bit of a security issue there. Maybe I can show you here. Let me see if I can take a screen grab that shows something, but not everything. I don't think I'll be showing anything right here, so let's do this. Then we'll go over to Paint real quick. So this is what our communication looks like behind the scenes. So we basically have all these channels, and it's great because we have all these conversations here. It's broken up in a way where it's easier to track. You can see, like the Kanban I was just talking about. Right, and so we've got that stuff going on behind the scenes. Is our public Trello board the same as the internal one? No. We've got some internal Trello stuff going on as well that's separate. So, yeah, at the end of the day, everything that any framework that you're using, project management framework you're using, or any tool that you're using is meant to facilitate communication and help you sort of maintain an overview of the status of things. I am not using dark mode for Slack. I think that's one of the only things I don't use dark mode on. For some reason, I don't like the way it looks, I think. I could have sworn I looked at it and I did not like it. I think maybe it's just like a nostalgia thing, or because I've been using Slack without it for so long. Let me see. Where are my options? Where can I make it dark mode? View, window. Where the frick is dark mode? Preferences, themes, dark mode. Well, yeah, so I'm looking at it now. Dark mode. Ugh, I don't like it. How do I undo what I just did? Oh, man. It won't give me back my original look. Oh, this is even worse. How do I reset? Oh. Goblin, you had me clicking stuff, and now create a custom theme? No, I just want the old theme back now, and it won't give it to me. That son of a... Alright, I have to fix this later. Now we're gonna fixate on this. Preferences. Where is reset? I want my theme back. Oh my god. Reset preferences. I feel like I'm 80 years old right now. I'm like talking into the keyboard. Reset preferences. Reset. I'm gonna go outside and yell at clouds. I feel like my parents. Yeah, I'm just gonna stand here and stare at Slack with a remote control in my hand as soon as I get done with this stream. I swear I have no idea. Sorry. This wasn't a trap, I swear. Man. Alright, so I'm gonna actually have to look this up on the internets. I'm okay with certain dark modes. I don't like dark mode for my Gmail. I don't like dark mode in here. It's just, I don't know, it's too depressing. You know what dark mode is? It's living in northern Germany. living in Scandinavia. I've been in dark mode. I've had enough dark mode in my life for the last like 6 years. I need everything to actually just radiate sunshine onto my face whenever I'm using it. It's work? It's supposed to be depressing? Oh no, this is wonderful work. I missed something here that I wanted to respond to. I saw it. Okay, Vagrant Frontier said, maybe a very, very silly question, but is it hard to avoid generating noise having all these different areas of information? You mean like the different, like the overall vectors, like Trello versus this versus that? I'd have to say that for the most part, people are only using what they feel comfortable with or feels beneficial, and that's mainly, I think, to help them track things. And then if we really need to sync on the status of things, we just communicate in real time a ton in Slack. Yeah, so Goblin said I'm a doomer, so I like dark mode by default. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's communication. To use a really kind of cheesy example, but I swear after 20 years of being on different teams and seeing different tool sets, different heel flips, thank you for the follow. Different tool sets, different project management methodologies, everything ranging from spreadsheets that happens a lot through, sophisticated, more modern software, which there's a ton of project management software out there. I've tried all sorts of stuff, like, like Aha. There's one called Aha, there's Shotgun, there's all this shit, and then everybody's got their own stuff, and then you got Trellos, and all of these things. It's funny, when I was first in basic training for the infantry and the army, like the mantra they keep repeating is shoot, move, communicate. Right? Like that's kind of the core of what you do, is shoot, move, communicate. Right? So, and the way I've sort of translated that over time is have a proficiency in be able to and willing to take action with your proficiency. Move is essentially adjust, take action, adjust, right? Be able to either take it forward, pivot, etc. Communicate is communicate. And those things that's what you've got to actively do. And it's constant, and it's with everyone. And so the thing that I think I've seen the most is companies, especially when they scale, they're looking for some silver bullet solution or some layer to put in to help manage communication first and foremost. And so often it's a crutch. And when we look into, oh, cool, well, we've established, this new framework, and we've got stand-ups, and we've got all of this other stuff. Sometimes those things give you what you need to basically make up for issues with communication. But other times they kind of serve as a bit of a band-aid that's not addressing the core problem, which is when people are working in team environments, they've got to be capable of communicating with their team and being, I think, mature enough and proficient enough in their role to know when they should be communicating and be willing to be both proactive and thorough in their communication. Learn, okay, maybe I'm communicating too much. All right, so I need to rein this in, or maybe I'm communicating the wrong information. And then leadership should really be working with those individuals to help them improve on their communication, but in a way where the leadership isn't required to facilitate communication. The framework isn't required to facilitate communication. At the end of the day, it's going back to like those 5 people in a garage making a game, or 3 people in a garage, or in a room somewhere making a game. You see like so much efficiency, effectiveness, power that comes from those smaller groups, just because they have to communicate if they're a functional group. And then as things scale, it's like, all right, so but how do we scale that? And I think sometimes as we're thinking about scaling, we immediately start thinking about these frameworks and structures, instead of thinking about the fact that there's a obligation within the individuals in a team to ensure that no matter what's going on, they're communicating effectively. And then there's lots of excuses why that can't work sometimes. People are introverts, or these people over here, they're super smart, so they don't talk to other people, or so-and-so is an asshole, and so, but he's a really, really smart and important asshole, so we got to put up with that shit, and like all of those things that it's not good. So we should be working to just get people to communicate better. Action, adapt, communicate. Yeah. So, okay. That, I think, Kimmery, it's a better way of saying what I was using too many words to explain. Yeah, there was a good GDC talk I went to years and years and years ago by Jeremy Gaffney. And he was... What was he working on at the time? I forget. Anyway, but the name of the talk was something like, "Don't be afraid to fire the irreplaceable asshole." And it just went into like a lot of these topics as well. But it's one of those things that we see at companies all the time, where it's like, "That's so and so, keeper of the knowledge. They're irreplaceable." So we have to put up with the disruption that's occurring because of this individual's like interactions with people, or their unwillingness to communicate, or blah 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 blah. Like bullshit. Just fire them. The team will benefit so much for it, and that's one of those things. As a leader, I can tell you that I haven't been perfect on this front, and will not be perfect on this front, I'm sure. But it's one of those things that happens in team environments where, there'll be certain people, either they're not pulling their weight, or they're disruptive, or whatever. And the team sees that, but the team also sees if leadership. And ideally, you've got a team that just kind of does it on their own as well, where they're like, "Hey, we need to get rid of this disruption," or the leader's like, "All right, I'm going to basically take the risk of getting rid of this person, even though they are kind of irreplaceable," or whatever, in air quotes. And more often than not, the team will look at that. Especially if they are like the ones feeling the disruption, they'll look at it and go, "Oh, you mean we need to step up a little bit more to basically make up for not having this person for a while? Fuck it, we'll do it." Because it's making their lives better, and a lot of times a team will look at it and appreciate the fact that the leader was willing to, do that hard thing and take on that risk, in order to make the atmosphere a better one for the team to operate within. That makes sense. I was talking about this last night, actually, in relation to a completely different industry and everything else. But, it's like, let's just say it's like we're in the carrying shit on our shoulders, industry. And I do think that while it may be one of those things where the team's like, we got all this stuff that we need to carry, there's only X number of us. If we get rid of like this other person, that's more stuff that we have to carry. But you know what? We we're willing to do extra carrying if it makes the environment more pleasant, if it makes that environment more predictable, if it makes, you know, any sort of overall aspect of our lives just kind of better. So, so yeah, I mean, it's just, and hopefully I'm not ending the stream on any sort of a downer. I actually see it as a positive, because a lot of times you'll be on a team where you just don't have those people. And when you're on a team where you don't have those people, it feels awesome. And so it becomes very obvious when like that type of person either gets on the team or someone becomes that type of person over time. And ideally, if someone starts to fall into that pattern of behavior where after, you know, everything being really great for a while, again, it's on like the leadership or the team to kind of grab that person and be like, hey, what's going on? Because often it'll be something that's not even related to the job or the team or whatever. It's like, you know, I mean, I've been divorced 3 times now. So definitely, you know, there'll be those off weeks where someone is like, hey, what's going on? I tend to be proactive. I'll be like, hey, can I talk to you, boss? I'm going to be a little bit out of it for a little bit, you know, like getting divorced again. So not the best week, that kind of thing. But I've had that conversation with other people as well, where it's like, sometimes it's been gnarly stuff, right? Where, hey, you seemed kind of off for a while. And, you know, they're like family members dying, or in one case, family member died and they didn't tell anybody. They were just kind of like continuing to sort of do their, you know, job and blah, 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 which again, you kind of want to set up an environment where people feel comfortable coming to you with that type of stuff proactively. But it, you know, so the hardest part of game development is the fact that it requires people to make games. One of the coolest things about game development is the people that make games. So a lot of our work in game development is less about what engine are you using or what code, you know, what language are you using or what's your background, you know, in art or blah, blah, blah. You know, it's really making games is about people. So yeah. There's a great book on establishing a safe, like an environment where people feel safe to be creative, called Creativity Inc. It's a Ed Catmull book. Creativity Inc. And it's a really cool book, and it's got some, you know, history of like development and stuff. You know, Ed Catmull did some really cool shit for 3D. If you're not familiar with them. So this book right here, it's a solid one. Creativity Inc. Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. It's a good book because it's a nice mix of both you learning about how Pixar sort of grew and their thinking behind Pixar and stuff like that, and why it became such a cool environment. It gives you an opportunity to learn about some of the people that worked on the movies. It gives you the opportunity to learn more about Ed Catmull, who's very cool. So it's a worthwhile book. Let's see. Leaf said... I always say Leaf, but I forget. We've discussed this before. Is that an I or L at the beginning? Okay, I got it. Leaf said, I work at a Fortune 50, and we have a guy who's made his entire career on being that guy. Senior management loves him. Yeah, I mean... Yeah. It happens. It happens more frequently than it doesn't. But... Anyway, so that's it for the stream. I am at the 3 hour and 30 minute mark. It is 5:24 on my end. My dog's being silly. Either my wife just got home, or we're going to see me wrestle in action. I'll come back and say goodbye in 1 minute. If you hear yelling. Oh, hey. Okay, it's just Jasmine. Well, you're being so quiet, and he came in here and hid by me. I'm like, we either have a burglar or Jasmine's home. Hmm? It's the stream. Still streaming. We're wrapping up right now. Yep, I'll be here Tuesday. Nicodemus, see you. Your boy Moises, thank you for the follow. Belfaster said I'm both Jasmine and I'm robbing you. BDC, have a good weekend. John, see you. Kimry, bye-bye. Keith, you're fired. I saw that. I saw those arrows pointing up there. You don't thank me for the stream now. At a minimum, you're getting detention. It is Sean, S-H-A-W-N, but you can spell it however you want. My mom obviously did, according to my dad's side of the family. Let's see. Oh, it's my mom's birthday as well today. So it's Jasmine's birthday and it's my mom's birthday. I had to look the entire world to find a wife that had the same birthday as my mom so that I could knock out those birds with one stone. Kronos, goodbye. Chat says happy birthday, babe. Numa, goodbye. Marika, you're very welcome. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Kimmery. Don't you chomper me. Oh my god. Your mouth smells so bad. Oh my god. Oh god. Okay. As soon as I can reach the end stream button, we'll end the stream. Dog is deaf now. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. I will see you on Tuesday, and we'll do stuff instead of me just babbling. Promise. Probably not true. See you, BDC Retro. All right, everybody. Again, if you're new here, I forgot to do this at the end. Be sure to join our Discord. We do talk to you folks just as much in there as we do on stream. This is our website if you're really, really new here. And our mailing list is over 2,000 people. I totally forgot to say, and most of you probably already left, but screw it. We'll be sending a survey out. I mentioned this in Discord. We'll be sending a survey out probably this weekend that allows you to pick, or at least vote on, the race class combo that will be represented in our manual / website. So what that means is, what will be the race that is the fighter, and will that race be male or female in the image that we wind up drawing? So that type of thing for all of our class. So it's something we need for Goblin to do some art. So all right. You'll have a chance to vote if you're on the mailing list. So join the mailing list. Again, mailing list is here, and I am leaving for real this time. Bye-bye.